Hello, I'm Mr. S.S. Sazne and I am teaching the subject management. So today we are going to continue with our second chapter, that is planning and organizing at supervisory level. Today it is our fourth lecture and I will just give a flashback of our third lecture, what all points we have studied in our previous lecture. So we have started our lecture with steps that are to be followed after planning. So in that we have seen continuous follow-up, or the supervisor has to be alert on shop floor, or record of inventory, healthy atmosphere, proper feedback and recording. These were the points which we have discussed, which are to be done after planning. So after this point we have seen several formats. We call it as standard formats for several activities. We have seen what is the importance of these standard formats, and after the advantages we have seen 5 formats, such as for raw material acceptance, job description, machine planning, issue of tools and material flow. So in that we have seen what are the actual formats for the same, and what are its importance in using those formats in the industry. After that we have also seen what is the concept of budget, and we concluded our previous lecture with budgeting for material and budgeting for manpower. So in today's lecture we will be starting with organizing, that is the another half part of our this chapter, that is organizing at supervisory level. So before starting with this, we should first know what is the actual meaning of organizing. So organizing, it is the activity of coordinating and directing the company's resources in such a way that the company can carry out its objectives. So if we want to understand the simple meaning of organizing, then I will just give you one example so that you will understand this concept very easily. So in this figure you can see that we are having two stands on which several number of clothes are placed. So in the first diagram you can see that the clothes are placed, or they are thrown anyhow. And now if we want to find a particular dress from this entire lot, then it will be very much difficult to get that dress. So if we refer to the second diagram, where the clothes are placed properly, and now if we want to find out that particular dress, then we can get it easily. So this is the main advantage why we are planning or organizing all the resources. So we are applying the same concept in industry also. So we will now see some examples from the industry. So here also we are having two diagrams. In the first diagram we can see that the workplace is under total mess, and at such condition it is impossible to complete the given target in time. Also there will be a lot of wastage of all the resources of the organization. As a result, there will be a loss of the company. So to avoid this, organizing is very much important. Also we can understand the same concept with the second diagram. So in the second diagram we can see that the supervisor or the manager who has well organized resources, he can perform his function or work very perfectly, whereas the other supervisor or manager who has all the resources in unorganized manner is under total mess. So this is the importance of organizing. So in short, we can summarize the concept of organizing as identifying and classifying the desired activities, then grouping these activities to attain the objectives, and then assignment to each groups with a particular person whom the authority has been given to supervise these groups, and then finally coordination among all the members. This is the concept of organizing. So in short, we can summarize the entire concept of organizing in several steps which we will study in this slide. So the first step in organizing will be objectives or aims or goals are determined by the supervisor. So before starting, the supervisor must know what is the actual goal or target. Then he must define several path of actions. Due to this step, he will be able to get guidelines for the same. So the activities can be streamlined throughout the work. So after determining the goals or objectives, the second step is formulating supporting policies and plans. So these are nothing but the skeleton for satisfying the goals. The plans initiate actions in any organization. So the support of policies and plans will strengthen the focus towards the defined objectives. The third step in organizing is identifying and classifying the necessary activities. So first, the supervisor has to list down the various activities that are to be carried out. Then this will help him to avoid the variation and differentiation. So thus classification is very much necessary. The activities can be considered as per their nature and scope. So the fourth step in organizing will be grouping these activities in the best way. Since all the necessary activities are already identified and classified in the previous step, the supervisor will now arrange these activities in a sequential order. So the grouping will be done as per the resources that are available, priority in the work, and the importance for the same. This step of grouping is very important because it helps the supervisor to assign a certain group of people for performing that particular activity. The next step will be assignment of duties. So the activities or duties are assigned to appropriate people. Then again care is taken to satisfy both, that is requirement of work as well as the human needs. Also overlapping or underutilization and overloading is avoided while assigning these duties. The last step in organizing is defining the authority and responsibility. Any organization will never work without the clear-cut identification of authority and responsibility. For performing the duty, authority is very important, and on the other hand, for completing the function, responsibility is also must. When the vertical and horizontal structure of authority and responsibility is final, then the assigned duties will be completed effectively. Giving orders, receiving instructions, getting guidance will be effective when such relationships are precisely defined while in organizing. So by following these steps, we can organize any kind of resources. Managing all the physical resources is always a challenge to the supervisor. After the fourth industrial revolution, every business has been using the 4Ms, that is man, machine, material and money, to operate with or without success. Performing any activity without any one of these M's is never possible. Also, if any of these resources, if not utilized in an effective manner, then it may put the entire activity into danger. Man, the first of the 4M, is most important. The right person at right position will definitely lead to the efficiency and effectiveness of the activity. So if we want to understand what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness, then simply we can say that efficiency is nothing but whatever output that we are achieving from the given input. In this case, we do not see whether the output which is obtained is really useful or not. On the other hand, effectiveness means whatever the output that we are obtaining, how much useful it is. So this is called as effectiveness. Supervisor requires both efficiency as well as effectiveness from this resource, that is men. Along with this, several factors such as lateness, absenteeism, unsafe acts, alcoholism, poor training and incompetence. So these are all the factors of this resource, that is men, at work, which could turn the entire planning into failure. So it is considered that the human resources determine the workings of the other three basic resources. It is the human resource who makes sure that the other resources such as materials, machines, time as well as money are utilized in a productive manner to achieve the goals and objectives. If we speak about the next resource, that is material resource, then without a material resource, the human resource cannot perform any activity. Hence, it is necessary that all the materials which are required for carrying out the particular activity are placed before the man. The supply chain management plays a very important role in linking the material resources with the manpower resources. Like, for example, a group of cement factory workers who are waiting for the supply of limestone will have nothing to do as long as the supply does not arrive, or even if it is arrives but in poor quality, then also the entire production may be nothing but a total loss. So the quality should not also be compromised. So this was about the materials. After material, the next resource comes is nothing but the machines. So after the fourth industrial revolution, we can see that in industries, most of the manpower has been replaced by the modern machineries. And as a result of this, the quality as well as the production rate of the products which are to be manufactured has been increased to a great extent. If we compare manpower with machines, then in case of manpower, initially the efficiency of the employees are very good. However, as the time passes, their efficiency will tend to decrease, and the same will not happen in case of machines. As a result of this, we can see that in industries, most of the manpower is replaced by machines where quality is of great importance or great concern. But we should also keep in mind that without man and materials, the machines will be useless. The last resource is nothing but money. Without money, the supervisor cannot motivate the workers, as well as he also cannot get right quality and sufficient materials, as well as the right machines, and maintain them, or even ensure that time is properly managed. If money management is not done properly, then it will definitely affect all the remaining three resources. Again, the quality and quantity of money which is expended, it will have a direct effect on the goals or objectives of the organization. So for this purpose, there is also a separate department, that is accounts department, who will look after all these activities. When there is not enough money, no good workers or materials or machines can be employed. So in other words, we can say that there will be a total loss if there is no any proper arrangement or management of this resource, that is money. In short, we can say that the supervisor has to make optimal and responsible use of all these resources for the advancement or to achieve whatever the objectives has been decided. Our next point is organizing the physical resources. The supervisor has the responsibility of completing the output targets in time. And to complete these targets, it is very much essential that all the resources are well organized. So we will first see what are these physical resources. So these are man, machine, material, and money. So now we will study how to organize all these physical resources one by one. We will start with man as a resource. The supervisor takes help of manpower for executing his output targets. Operators, machinists, laborers, helpers, and all junior subordinates work under supervisor. So organizing their efforts, it is the skill of the supervisor. Just as in the previous slide, we have seen that if the workplace where the people are working, if it is under total mess or the workers are not well organized, then even after having superb or very costly machineries, that required or desired target cannot be achieved. So for this purpose, it is very much essential that the supervisor is capable to organize this manpower. So now the question is how to organize this manpower. We will see this in steps. So to organize the manpower, the first step will be study of the given task. So the supervisor needs to study what task is to be completed. Once he gets the idea about the given task, then he will think about what kind of manpower is available with him. Like we have seen what are the grades of manpower, such as whether the employees are skilled or unskilled, and depending on that he will decide the next step. So the next step is matching the human needs with the job needs. We are going to see this point in detail, so we'll for now we will skip this point. So after matching human needs with job needs, the next step will be allotment of work. So he has already studied what is the task to be completed. He has also gained the knowledge that what kind of manpower he is having, and after thinking on these points, he will then decide to allot the work. So after allotting the work, he will utilize the manpower in such a way that the employees are not overutilized or underutilized. So these are the steps for organizing the manpower. After organizing manpower, we will now see organizing machines. So machine as a resource, it includes all types of machines, equipments, apparatus, devices, etc. The systematic utilization of machine is not an easy task, because for this the supervisor has to know what all machines are available on the shop floor, how many machines are having maintenance, or how many machines are breakdown, and then he has to decide that which machines are to be selected for performing the necessary activities or to complete the given task or project. So accordingly he has to select the manpower, and he has to allot the machines to those manpower so that the target can be achieved with minimum efforts. For this purpose, we will now see what are the guidelines to organize machine. So the first step is find out the total available machinery. So whatever the machines that are placed in the shop floor, the supervisor will consider all those machines. After getting the total count of these machineries, the second step will be to check the condition of machines available. So the supervisor has to check whether the machines are working properly or they are breakdown, because it is very much necessary that whatever the machines are available, they are in very good condition, because if the machine is taken into consideration and while performing the task on that machine, if the same machine fails to perform its function, then it can stop the entire production, and thus it can be a big loss. So to avoid this, it is necessary that the exact condition of the available machineries are checked thoroughly. After checking the conditions of the machines, it is necessary to understand any breakdown or under repair status of the machines. So if there are some machines which are totally breakdown and cannot be recovered easily, then these machines are to be separated out from the plan, whereas the machines which are available and can be repaired, the status of the same has to be reported, and the maintenance work has to be carried out as early as possible. After this, the next step will be find out the requirement of the machines for the given task. So based on the given task or target, the supervisor has to decide that exactly how many machines are required. After this, the next step will be get the idea of cycle time and productivity parameters of the machines. So the supervisor will calculate the time required to complete one cycle or say one job, and then he will do the planning of equipment arrangement according to the material flow. So the main objective in this step is to make minimum transportation of the material and to make maximum utilization of machine. Apart from this, the supervisor will also have to think about whether some additional machineries are required, and if they are required, then he has to plan or he has to organize those machines or attachments. And finally, as per the machine capacity, the supervisor has to plan the production activity. So this was all about organizing the machines. In this slide, we will see organizing material as a resource. The supervisor has to organize all the raw materials, supportive production materials, accessory material from useful component of production inputs. Organizing all such materials is an important task of the supervisor. So we will see what are the guidelines for organizing the material. The first step for organizing material is to find out the requirement of material to be used. So once the task is clear regarding what is the target of the given project, then the supervisor will have to find out or to determine what is the exact amount of material required. After this, the supervisor will then finalize the specifications of all types of materials which are useful in the production. He will then get the permission for the purchase of those raw materials which are required for the completion of that project. Then the documentation for this purchase or procurement is the most critical work, because the supervisor has to be sure in such case that whatever the purchase or procurement is to be done, the same material will be not in excess amount, nor it should be in shortage while production. So he has to take care about this. After this, he will plan inventory of the material. So inventory, it is nothing but the collection of data related to the material. After this, he will organize the checking methodology of quality and quantity of material. We have already seen a standard format for this purpose in the planning part. So the same format can be utilized so that the quality and quantity of material can be checked. Again, after this, the next step is define flow of material in production activity. So the supervisor has to decide that how the material will flow or through which machines the material has to be passed. So after this, the next step is arrange material handling devices for the material movements. These material handling devices are the special purpose machines which are used to handle or for transportation of the materials from one machine to the other. So after arranging the material handling devices, the last step for organizing material is a special care and custody facility for such materials which are very costly or fragile. So these are the guidelines for organizing the material. We will now see money as a resource. So whatever the resources we have studied up till now, that is manpower or a material and machine, these all resources will work effectively if and only if money is available. So money is a very important resource. However, many times there is no any direct contact or connection in between the supervisor related with this resource, that is money, in routine production activities, because all this work will be seen by the purchase department and the finance department. However, if it is the part of the supervisor duty, then he has to take all care regarding the approval for the same or related to the budgets and permission, as well as the audit of the money that is concerned. So these are the all resources for which the supervisor has to plan accordingly and organize all these resources so that they are utilized in an effective manner. There are a few more points remaining from this chapter. So I think by the next lecture we will complete this our second chapter, that is planning and organizing at supervisory level. So for today we will stop here. Thank you.